So we'll talk about what's inside the cigar here in a minute, but I wanted to, as we talk about when is a cigar ready, I always like to say that it's all about how it burns, right? And how if it still has too much organic material that it won't combust. And that's what I'm going to try to show you guys here. That one's coming apart like a...
It's Connecticut.
Yeah, well, that's good. This will be a really good one for the experiment. This is Connecticut wrapper grown in Ecuador. So it's a very thin tobacco. But you can imagine, even if you burned leaves before, you can imagine if this has a high moisture content, a high level of organic material, I may light it, it may burn for a little bit, but without any sort of an accelerant or blowing on it, it'll just go out, right? Now, tobacco that's been worked and fermented, or any leaf for that matter, and this is also a really cool kind of point about how they warn you when you compost that you've got to be careful because it can catch on fire. That's because of the heat from the process, but also as the leaves die, they become highly combustible. So the best test to tell if tobacco is ready is to light it and start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I'm just going to stop counting because this is literally going to burn for, I mean, this may not stop.
Watch your table.
Yeah, it's okay.
Need anyone?
That's a Keith problem.
So it's not how fast it burns, it's just whether it keeps burning.
Yeah, and I mean, you can even see how fast it's combusting. It's insane. Now, it doesn't combust like this when it's in a cigar because we have density, we have multiple leaves, and some of the other leaves are heavier, and we're going to go over that actually slow the combustion of the wrapper, and it'll burn evenly. So, I mean, this is still going. So I hope that kind of illustrates just how crazy that is, that the process then creates this kind of combustibility. So
the wrapper and the filler, they're all from the same process, right? Those are all still the same tobacco leaves. They don't look like a different process.
They come from the same plant and same process. So that's a great question. It's actually right where we're heading. But I'm going to stop us for just a moment before we go there, for you guys that took some of the cigars. Those are single region, one tobacco, one farm tobaccos. That is not a blend. So a cigar is usually a blend of different tobaccos. What's cool about those is we have the Seco, which is the bottom third, the Viso, the middle, and the Ligero. We talked about how the strength and the sugars are different. Now you will have an opportunity to smoke a leaf from the same plant from different spots to actually taste the difference, feel the texture of those samples. When you smoke them, you'll see, oh, that Seco, it's not as strong. The Viso is a little stronger, and the Ligero is stronger. So that's really the samples are giving you a chance to smoke and experience the plant classification.
Is it just a binder on the outside?
No, there is no binder. It's 100% filler. We used a filler leaf as a binder, so it's 100% filler. And because it's from a single region and not a blend, just a little side comment for those of you who want to kind of challenge yourselves to something a little bit extra. Don't just think about the strength or the sweetness or like the flavor. When you hold the smoke on your tongue, because it's a single region, what you're going to find that your tongue is divided up into zones to taste flavors. You have the sweet, the bitter, the salt, the acidic, and things like wine tasting and food tasting. It's the same thing. They talk about that. So the tip of your tongue is your sweet receptor. The center back is your bitter receptor. Your acidic receptors are on the side rear, and your salt are in the front sides. But as you hold the smoke in your mouth and you think about your tongue and those regions, what you're going to start to see is that you'll feel kind of like almost like a tingling pop rock type sensation in one area. That's the zone that tobacco is activating on your palate. And you get that from a single strand tobacco. Some maybe even do 2 different zones, but not the whole tongue at once. And that's why we blend tobacco together, because we want balance, right? We want the whole palate to activate equally. And so a cool thing is, rarely do people have an opportunity to smoke single strand tobacco like that, but you probably won't find it very pleasant, but that's the reason for it. And that's why we actually blend with different tobaccos to try to create this holistic, balanced experience on the palate. So that's kind of added feature for you guys who are going to be trying the nicotine. Anybody who wanted to change their mind that maybe wants to try, we certainly have more. So let's talk a little bit about what you were saying about the the wrapper, the binder, the filler. It's all the same tobacco, and you have certainly wrappers that are Seikos and wrappers that are in the middle. That gets classified after it ferments, or even during the fermentation process. We're starting to look at the tobacco and saying that's going to be a good wrapper, that's going to be a good binder, and then usually if it doesn't qualify as either two of those, then it's filler. So the wrapper we pick for its aesthetic qualities. It needs to look very beautiful. If there's what we call sun grown, which means it's just grown out in a farm in the open air in the sun, only 2% of the leaves we're going to harvest are actually going to qualify for wrapper. Very small. Then we have our binder, which we pick for its structural integrity because it's going to ultimately hold the bunch together. And then you have your fillers, which are in the middle. But yes, they all come from the same plant. And just like we would manipulate a plant to have maybe more nicotine or more strength, there are ways to manipulate the plant. Like I said, if we just put it out in the sun and let nature have its way, about 2% would qualify as a wrapper grade leaf. There are things we can do, such as putting up giant cheesecloths. I don't know if you've seen pictures of Cuba and you see how the tobacco is grown under these canopies. Those canopies are created to provide more shade and be gentler on the plant, and you get that beautiful, more wrapper look. So when it's grown under shade, you may get 50% wrapper, but it's an expensive thing to do. And but it's there are other ways to manipulate the plant to get that beautiful look. And to give you kind of an idea, a pound of filler tobacco is maybe $6 a pound. A pound of binder tobacco, which is a little bit better, is maybe 10 or 11. And a pound of wrapper can be $50. So that's where the money's to be made. If anyone wants to get into the tobacco growing game, don't bother with the filler.